Growing out of old memories is a part of anyone's day-to-day life. They may come back to reminisce eventually out of sentimental reasons, and even so that there are some that may be better off left as memories. Whether they remind you of the good or bad times in your life, a memory is just a memory and can't always find its way back to you, right? This is Reggie's. The middle of spring was rolling around. 11th grade was becoming difficult to surpass by. Struggles at home were rolling about. 2003 seemed to be kicking Reggie back and forth with no end to it no matter what he seemed to do. While dealing with them day in and day out, the company of his friends always seemed to help lighten up his hope of making it out of this grade in one piece before moving on to the next grade to finally graduate. From swapping to tests and full assignments, Reggie always knew his shortcuts out of it, from answers given after homeroom to handouts in the cafeteria by his buddies. It seemed like the ship was sailing smoothly for Reggie. That was until when he was arriving back home on a skateboard. He noticed from a distance, his dad was walking out the front door, slamming it behind him, then walking over to his car. Reggie, in a confused shock, stood still as his father glared over at him from the other side of the sidewalk with a serious look on his face before getting into his car and driving off. Reggie, with a sigh, walked onto the sidewalk heading over to his house, wiping his dirt-covered shoes on the welcome mat. He walked in, closing the front door behind him. His mother had then slowly walked in on him, holding a tissue wiping away a few eyeshadow tears that were dripping down her face like a raindrop down a window during a stormy night. "Are you okay, Mom? What happened?" Reggie asked. His mother, in a whimpering tone, responded, "Nothing, honey." Let me guess, he drove off to Nickel Jack's again for another Friday night drinking session?" Reggie mockingly asked. "Unfortunately, no," his mother replied. Reggie had then noticed on his mother's hand she was holding her tissue with that her wedding ring was not on her ring finger anymore. With a stern look and deep breath, Reggie stormed off to the second floor and made his way upstairs, only to be greeted by hearing soft crying coming from his kid sister's room, Chloe. He saw that her bedroom door was slightly open. Peering through the gap, Reggie saw Chloe covering her face with her bed pillow, hiding away her shedding tears from what had happened. Without saying anything, Reggie slowly backed away from the door. Only then he began to hear glass shards from downstairs being swept with a broom, knowing from there to confirm his suspicions on what must have happened. He made his way to his room, almost slamming the door shut, to then scream into his bed pillow from a mix of anger and sadness. Days had passed. It had become difficult for Reggie to concentrate on getting through the rest of the school year without having to be reminded of his parents' divorce. To make things worse, less and less of his friends were able to help him and each other out with answers for their assignments, as it had become a serious issue for the school board that needed to be dealt with one way or another. It seemed like everything was slowly starting to tear itself apart one by one after what occurred last week for Reggie. The weekend was shortly rolling over, as Reggie was trying to focus on a Friday due worksheet assignment for his world history class. Shortly after 5 minutes past 8 p.m., his little sister Chloe walked into his room.
Hey, Reggie?
Reggie slightly turned his head and replied, "Don't you know how to knock, Four Eyes?"
Don't call me Four Eyes.
Yeah, whatever. What do you want?"
Mom said that dinner is gonna be ready in 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Also, is it okay if we play some video games after dinner?
Chloe timidly asked. "Do I look like I have the time to play with you, Four Eyes? I'm on a tight schedule here with this garbage on my desk, and I sure as hell don't want to be wasting my time with you."
Okay. I'll leave.
As she slowly started backing away, she didn't pay attention to her surroundings as she knocked over Reggie's baseball trophy from last year's season, almost breaking it. Reggie immediately turned around after hearing the noise and shouted, "What did you do?"
I didn't mean to, Reggie. I'm sorry. Here, let me...
As soon as Chloe tried to help Reggie with the trophy, she got pushed away by him. "You're lucky you didn't break it, Four Eyes."
Well, I'm so sorry for not looking where I was going, stupid.
Oh, I'm stupid? And you wonder so badly why Dad left. Like it's a huge mystery to solve. Well, guess what, Velma? Maybe it's because of having a brat like you to deal with. Out of shock, Chloe immediately started to tear up and she bolted out of Reggie's room bawling. Reggie's breathing was heavily increasing as he looked at himself in his dresser's mirror, seeing the kind of actions he was repeating. His father's.
Damn it!
Like father, like son. All of his stress he had from what happened conjoined with his anger to what he saw growing up. Reggie sat on his bed in remorse, covering his eyes with both of his hands. His mother then barged in, scolding Reggie on what he did towards Chloe. After some negotiation over dinner, they finally settled things off with one final talk in Reggie's bedroom. "You have to understand this, Reggie." "I know," Reggie replied in a remorseful tone. "Things have been difficult, yes, but you have to learn from what I've taught you before, that when things get tough, so do you. And that's what counts with growing up." Reggie nods, giving off a slight smile to his mother. Eventually, when you look back after a while on all you've accomplished, you'll remember one sole detail. "And what's that?" "One must go," said his mother. "One of what?" "Of what's held you back, but not to where you may end up later on." Out of confusion, before Reggie could say anything, his mother then said, "Get some rest, honey. Tomorrow's gonna be a busy day." "I'll try to," Reggie replied. His mom then shut off the lights, closing the door on her way out, leaving Reggie's room to be illuminated by his nightstand lamp. After a bit of thinking, Reggie was ready to hit the sack after seeing his alarm clock was at 10:42 p.m. As soon as he was about to get up and brush his teeth, he got a call from his buddy, Derek, who usually was one of his helpers for assignment answers during lunch hours. Reggie answered with his usual, "Hey, brosif, what's up?"
Not much. What about you?
Same here, honestly. Just been trying to get this whack assignment done for tomorrow," said Reggie.
Yeah, I hear ya. Hey, look, I'm sorry about what you've had to deal with recently. What do you say after school tomorrow? You, me, and the boys head on down to Pinballs for some retro rumble.
As much as I'd love to spend my money on a bucket of quarters, I can't be spending my money like that. Now, you know I've been meaning to save up for that new Ford down at the lot, right?
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Just wish I'd have enough money to spend so easily like that, you know? Just after a few seconds, Derek then replied with a simple,
You know, maybe I can accommodate with that.
"What do you mean?"
My dad knows this old coot that owns this creepy-looking warehouse up on Elmerton Avenue. They've been meaning to hire someone to do a bit of light cleaning, I think.
"You mean that warehouse that the neighborhood kids say is haunted?" "Like hell I'm gonna take a job like that. No way."
Oh, come on. You seriously don't believe in all that, do you?
Maybe.
Look, he says he'd be willing to pay $100 per night to anyone who's willing to take that position.
Whoa, hold the phone. $100 per night? I'd be able to buy 5 Fords with saving up on all that.
Well, what do you say? Are you in?
Hell yeah, I'm in.
Alright then. Come by Saturday evening around 9 and he'll run down the basics for you.
Come by Saturday around 9. Alright, got it.
Alright, man. Catch you around.
Reggie knew that this position was his one-way ticket to saving up for his car before summer vacation came around. From what he had already saved up from previous jobs, from mowing lawns to part-time, he knew that this was an upgrade and step up from what he originally made. With all this in mind, he cleaned up for the night, brushed his teeth, and went off to catch some Z's. It had been 2 days since the excitement ricocheted back and forth in Reggie's mind. He knew that today was going to be his first night on the job, where he would be earning his money's worth over a simple light cleaning job. Sure, the whole light cleaning part annoyed him a bit at the idea, but he wasn't going to let that stop him from collecting what he agreed to. After rummaging a bit through his drawers, he found the address his buddy Derek gave him during lunchtime the previous day. He slipped it into his pocket and rushed downstairs to the front door to slip on his windbreaker. Unfortunately enough, Reggie's enthusiasm died down a bit as his mother walked over to him and asked, "And just where do you think you're going, young man?" "I'm gonna be heading out to my shift. It's my first night on the job," said Reggie. "Just to be clear, where is this place you're working at?" "On Elmerton Avenue?" No, I am not letting my baby go out on that area at this time of night. You know how cautious I am when it comes to that part of town, especially during late night hours. Oh, relax. It's not like you're the one that's going out over to that area. Besides, I was given full confirmation that the warehouse is completely secure. It's not part of any back alleyways at all. I don't know. Whatever you're being paid with shouldn't be worth spending several hours in a cold, musty warehouse like that. Well, if it means saving up to buy that Ford I was telling you about, then it's sure as hell worth every penny. Okay, well, how long are you going to be there for? I think probably for about a few hours, depending on what I'll have to clean and sort out, Reggie explained. Just be careful while you're over there, alright? Alright. He waved to his mother while walking out the door and made his way over to Elmerton on his skateboard. As soon as Reggie arrived, he saw his buddy Derek and the old coot he was told about waiting for him. From what he expected, the warehouse was as run down as he pictured it to be. It was shaped top to bottom with decaying matter. Mold had started to seep through from the bottom edges, almost as green as the fiber used on the other side of a sponge that his mother uses to wash dishes with. At one of the far ends of the warehouse, he noticed some graffiti painted on one of the metal doors that opened up like a garage door. He glanced over and made out what seemed to read as Lion's Gate to Hell. Intrigued by what he saw, he brushed it off as a lame quote that might have been from a boring House of the Dead fanfic. He then met up with Derek on the other side of the warehouse to speak with the old coot waiting by the back entrance.
Sup? Glad you can make it.
Do you think I was gonna be a no-show?
Yeah, and who said I was thinking about that, wise ass?
Yeah, whatever. They both walked over to the old coot that was waiting by the back entrance with a cigar in his hand that had been completely used up. The old man dropped the cigar and wiped it onto the concrete ground with his tobacco leather boot.
So, this him?
Yes, sir, it is. Reggie, meet Mr. Carwarden. Mr. Carwarden, meet Reggie.
It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
No need to be so sincere and formal with me, son. Just call me Mr. C. That's what my friends call me.
Okay then, Mr. C. So, what are we working with here? Anything in particular I should know about before getting to work?
Why, yeah. There's a few things you should know. See, this here warehouse is currently housing one of the earliest animatronic characters in FEC history.
So what, you holding up old Chuck E. Cheese robots in there? Reggie mockingly asked.
No, actually.
Both Reggie and Derek looked at each other in mild confusion and a bit dazed before Derek asked,
Is it showbiz? Because if so, that's gotta be pretty impressive how you managed to get some of those furry bastards from the Rockefeller explosion.
Are you boys familiar with Circus Playhouse and Food Emporium?
Mr. C asked. Both Reggie and Derek said no, as they didn't fully know what Mr. C was referring to.
I thought so. Not many locations really opened up nationwide. You see, during the competing days with CEC and Showbiz, I had my own band of animatronic characters. A circus band that sang wondrous songs. The show would always be a hit. And don't get me started on the birthday parties. Now those were the best.
Wait, so you were the owner of that place? Reggie asked.
Yes, sirree, Bob, I was. We had a few opening locations around the state, and the animatronic band was becoming such a hit for that performing age. Those animatronics I've got in there were the best models in the market. Well, at least what's left of them.
What happened to him?
Derek questionably asked.
There was a fire that, unfortunately occurred. It was unknown how it started, either by faulty wiring or overheating with the animatronic band, I don't know. What was left of them after the fire was a sad sight to see. Their fur had been burnt to a crisp. They were filled with heat and water damage, leaving nothing but their leathery shells.
Damn, I'm sorry to hear about that.
No need to be. Nothing lasts forever after all.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, enough riffraff. What I'll need you to do is dust down and clean some of the main props and merchandise that I could find off my brand for the last 15 years now. I plan to use all of it for an upcoming roadside haunted house attraction.
Explained Mr. C. What, a haunted house? Really? Wicked.
Wait, even the animatronics as well?
Well, of course. They'd be the main attraction after all.
Makes sense.
If I wanted to reopen someday with them, I sadly wouldn't have the right parts or staff to help me, since production had been discontinued since '96.
Mr. C then handed Reggie a silver key and replied,
Well, anyways, once you're done cleaning up for the night, lock up when you're done, alright?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty then. Good luck,
said Mr. C as he walked off to his car. Reggie turned over to Derek, almost looking speechless.
Hey, remember, $100 per night, am I right?
Yeah, right.
Alright, well, I gotta head back home. I'll catch you later, brosive,
said Derek as he walked off. Yeah, you too. Reggie entered the warehouse through the back door only to be greeted with a stale, dusty stench while walking through the main hall. As he reached over to the main display room, there was barely any light illuminated. Not even the light switch worked. The only bit of light support he could get to properly see was with a pole chain switch that was connected to a dimly lit orange-hued light bulb that let out a loud humming sound that Reggie would remember hearing as a kid whenever he visited his local dentist office for a yearly cleanup. The room was dimly lit, and Reggie needed his eyes to adjust before seeing what was up front from his peripheral view within the large room. As soon as things started to become a lot clearer, Reggie could see an assortment of pinball machines, old barrels, props, and even the main attraction itself. On an iron display, what was left of the once colorful circus playhouse animatronic band, now lifeless, empty shells. The silicone from most of the characters were melted over their shells, leaving very little vibrant color left. Reggie looked over at a framed poster that showed the characters' names and the whole band. It was an assortment of 6 characters in total: Charlie the Chimp, Lola the Leopard, Barney Bear, Ellie Elephant, Tex S. Tiger, and the ringmaster himself, Lionel the Friendly Lion. Alongside the main band, there were 3 additional characters at the side of the poster: Jerry Giraffe, Bat E. Bird, and one character that left Reggie with a bad case of goosebumps, a clown named Starvin' Marvin. For Reggie, being a kid with coulrophobia, this character left him shaking for a little bit, until he knew that he had to stop slacking off and get to work. Reggie started by mopping down the floor with some of the cleaning tools he was assigned with from one of the cleaning closets. He later on dusted down some of the props that came from the old playhouse, from the pinball machines to what was left of the old stage where the animatronic band performed at. The printing on the stage where the cartoon variants of the characters were burnt off. Nonetheless, what was left of the stage curtains need to be dusted. He then later on began to wash and polish some of the glass cups that were used for soft drinks at the restaurant, all of which had Lionel the Friendly Lion's face printed on. As soon as Reggie was about to finish, he knew what had to be taken care of last: the animatronic shells. He began to remove some tarp that was stuck onto some of the husks of the animatronics. Who he cleaned off first was Barney Bear. What was left of the furry gray bear with the waistcoat and bowler hat was now a colorless shell with the number 5 written all over its shell from head to torso. Reggie thought that this was done for organizing purposes, but he brushed it off as nothing and continued dusting off the shells. He then went from Tex S. Tiger all the way to Lionel the Friendly Lion, where it was tied and hanged to rafters due to its metal cylinder being too damaged for it to be able to stand upright. This made the job a bit more difficult for Reggie to take care of, but he wasn't gonna let that stop him. As Reggie was cleaning out the gunk from Lionel's eye sockets, he was questioning in his mind why Mr. Carwarden would want to use them for a haunted house attraction out of all things, instead of just scrapping them for a few bucks from their current condition. Sure, aside from your typical ghoul and corpse jump scare you'd see at a normal haunted house, he had still wondered why out of all things would these animatronic shells make the part. Reggie shrugged it off and continued cleaning Lionel until he noticed something off and out of the ordinary. Peeking out from the left eye socket was a piece of leather with what seemed to be some sort of strange liquid droplet. Reggie questioned in his head, "What the hell? How is there still liquid in them?" Reggie began to try and pull out the damp piece of leather, but it was lodged way too deep on the mask. As hard as Reggie could, he tugged back hard enough and was able to get the leather out of Lionel's head, resulting in him falling back and Lionel falling apart from the rafters he was hung by.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Ah! God damn it! Ah!
Eventually, when Reggie's vision cleared, he saw what the piece of leather was leaking with. The liquid was dark, almost having a red tint to it. He knew from there what it was. Out of sheer sickness, Reggie started gagging as he knew blood was dripping from the inside of Lionel's mask. He wanted to vomit from all the disgust he had from his realization. Eventually, however, he turned around to see what he landed by. It was a small display, all covered in a thick layer of tarp, leaving what was left behind hidden. Reggie, out of curiosity, wanted to know what was hiding behind. He tore off the tarp little by little for him to jump back in fear from what he saw. It was a small, square-like display with a coin slot, as well as a logo that read, "Starvin' Marvin." Reggie, out of shock, observed what was left of the clown's display. Its face was rusted, mangled, with its mouth gaping, and had no resemblance from what it originally used to look like in design. It did, however, retain its dusty blue chef outfit. However, this time, no single clown feature on his face nor chef hat was found. This, in all of Reggie's years of fearing clowns, was a milestone to him, as he had never jumped back out of fear and screamed as loud as he did in years from seeing a clown, or even what was left of one. He did, however, notice something underneath the display. Reggie reached down from within the display to find an old videotape with a sticker that read, "Archived Showtime, Do Not Play," in all caps, written in black Sharpie. He knew that he shouldn't take the tape with him, but compared to what he's done at school before, he thought that this one little videotape wouldn't be missed. Reggie left the warehouse and locked the back door behind him before heading back home on his skateboard whilst holding the tape, hoping that nothing, or at least nobody, was following him back. Reggie checked his watch. It had just ticked over to 2:37 a.m., and he knew his mother and little sister would be sound asleep at this time. As quietly as he could, he opened the front door and slowly closed it, hoping he didn't slam it shut. His luck had run out, however, when it did in fact leave a loud creaking noise as he closed the door. But he wasn't unlucky enough for his mother to be awoken. He hung his windbreaker by the front door coat hanger and made his way to the living room. He had thought in his mind that maybe there was a good reason it couldn't be played, but with his doubts in mind, he kept his guard up. Reggie popped the tape into the VCR and turned down the volume enough so it wouldn't wake his family up. What was on the tape was just as he expected, a Showtime performance of the animatronics. Their performing age was phenomenal with what was shown on the tape. The date was set at 7/29/82. The stage was colorful and vibrant, as well as it retaining its old white banner at the center with its plain red "Happy Birthday" written on it. Eventually though, the camera slowly turned to the mascot room that was to the left of the stage with its golden star at the top of the door. The door had slowly opened, and what resembled a mascot costume of Starvin' Marvin walked out from the mascot room, until eventually, the screen had started to glitch and static to new footage. The camera angle looked like it was on the ground facing up at a dimly lit light bulb. The noise that was coming from the background was what sounded like cries of children and a maniacal laugh engrossing the cries that were heard. That was when the tape had ended. Disturbed from what Reggie saw, he rushed over to the bathroom to throw up. After a while from settling down from his sickness, Reggie went to his room and laid down on his bed, contemplating on what he had just witnessed, eventually drifting off to sleep. A few weeks later had passed from what had happened. Reggie stopped showing up for work. He never got his $100 from his first shift, and he didn't have a care in his mind on going back over to that warehouse. Eventually, however, Reggie had gone into the fun of playing pranks with his buddies at school with some of the 9th graders. It had seemed like a fun way to pass the time and forget about the experience he had from the warehouse. That was until things took a turn Reggie wished he never took. Over at the lunch table, Reggie was having a chat with Derek and his other buddies, Terrence, Joshua, and Ethan.
So, how'd the TP bomb go?
Oh, they had no clue on what hit them. Or should I say, who?
The five all chuckled from the joke and continued planning out their weekend plans for some new pranks. That was, however, until Joshua came up with a bright idea.
Say, you guys, you know that rundown warehouse up on Elmerton?
Oh, you mean the one Reggie boy over here worked at?
Yeah, so I was thinking, with what's in that trash heap from what Reggie told us, we pulled off a few scares with the 9th graders.
You do know that none of them would want to go anywhere near us, right?
Shit, you're right.
Great! Well, there goes our plans.
After a bit of thinking, Joshua sparked up a new idea, saying,
Wait, Reggie, why don't you bring your little sister with you? She's sure to get scared.
What? Oh, no. Look, I don't know, guys. She's already put up with enough recently, and so have I. Besides, I don't know if it would be a good idea for us to go over there anymore,
Reggie explained.
Yeah, not to mention neither myself nor my old man have had any recent connection with Mr. Carwarden lately, so it's best if we just lay low from that.
Derek added.
Oh, what are ya? A wuss?
Hell no! I'm just saying we shouldn't bother going over there.
Are you scared of something? Huh?
Alright, fine. We'll bring Chloe along for the prank. Just make sure it isn't anything too extreme or anything bullshit related, alright?
Yeah, don't worry. It'll be fine. Trust me.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get this show on the road.
Alright!
Alright! Hell yeah!
Alright, yeah. Hell yeah.
Not long after, the school bell rang, and they all had to make it back to class. They all had agreed to meet up around Saturday evening for the prank to then begin from there. Saturday came around pretty quick. The time had rolled over to 7:35 p.m. Reggie and his sister were watching an episode of Chloe's favorite cartoon. Their mother came in and explained that she had to run a few errands and said she will be back around 8 p.m. This had given Reggie the opportunity to sneak out with Chloe for the prank to commence from there. Now remember, no going out anywhere. Is that understood?
Yep.
Yep, we understand. Alright then, I'll be back. Love you both.
The mother said as she walked out the front door. A few moments later, after the coast was clear, Reggie began with the plan and asked Chloe with a slight enthusiastic tone,
Say, sis, how would you like to go on a little field trip?
But Mom said we aren't allowed to go out anywhere.
Oh, please, she won't know we went out anywhere because we're only gonna be gone before she comes back. And the best part is, we're going to Lick's Ice Cream Parlor.
Really?
Yep, and your big bro is gonna get you any flavor that you want. My treat.
Awesome. Thanks, Reggie.
Reggie got up from the sofa and said,
Yeah, no problem. Just hop onto your bike and follow my lead.
All right.
As Chloe walked off to get her helmet, Reggie gave off a big smirk, holding back his laughter, knowing that his lie worked to get Chloe to tag along for the prank. Reggie threw on his windbreaker while Chloe walked over to the front door with her pink scarf on. When they headed out, Chloe followed behind on her bike while Reggie was skating along in pride, knowing that this was going to be a fully fledged successful prank. He knew that both he and his friends were going to end up on the prank hall of fame around school, going from friend to friend, grade to grade. Him and his friends' popularity were on the line with this prank. Eventually, however, Chloe caught onto Reggie's suspicion when they weren't going down the same road over to Lex. Instead, they were heading to Elmerton Avenue.
Reggie? This isn't the way to Licks.
I know, we're just going over to the rundown warehouse real quick.
I thought you didn't work there anymore.
Oh, I don't. See, we're just going over to pick something up from there. Then we'll head over to Lick's.
Are you sure?
Of course, just have a little bit of patience and any flavor you want from Lick's is yours.
All right then.
They had arrived at the warehouse. Reggie saw his buddies waiting for him by the back door.
Why are your friends over there?
They're gonna be helping me out with what I need to get.
Why would you need their help just to pick up something?
Listen, just zip it or I'll tell Mom about the bathroom fiasco you made last week.
Okay, fine.
Chloe hopped off her bike as she followed Reggie over to his buddies.
Sup, Four Eyes?
Ethan then shoulders Terrence, saying,
Cut her some slack, dude.
So, Reggie, you ready to pick up the thing you've been needing?
Derek asked.
Yup, sure am.
Well, alright then. Let's head on in.
They all walked through the back entrance, down the main hall, and into the display room, where they all were greeted with the animatronic shells, their heads turned towards the stage.
I don't like this.
Just stay close to me. They all looked around for a bit, before signaling each other for the prank to commence.
Where is the stupid thing you guys were looking for?
It's probably behind that closed stage curtain over there.
Yeah, why don't you go and take a look?
Why do I have to be the one to look over there?
Because we're all in favor of saying
Not
not
it!
Not it.
They all exclaimed not it, but Chloe, however, was the last to say it.
Alright now, get going and have a look over there, Squirt.
Alright.
Chloe exhaled with a big sigh and slowly walked over to the stage, peeking behind the closed curtain that Reggie never saw through before on his first shift. How'd you get the animatronic heads to face the stage without them falling apart? Reggie asked, whispering to Terrence.
I didn't.
Then who did?
They were all facing down when we first came in here.
Reggie, out of nervousness, looked around to see if anything had changed since the last time he had been there. That was until he noticed, on one of the old, rusted barrels near a wooden pillar, there was a golden, dusted-covered Admit 1 ticket with the characters and logo printed on it. What Reggie had noticed was a smiley face hole punched at the top left of the ticket. When he had turned it over, however, is when his stomach sank. What he had read left his heart racing, almost like it was about to pop out of his chest from fear. One must go, crudely written in black Sharpie. Reggie quickly turned over to the Starvin' Marvin display, but the shell of Starvin' Marvin was not there anymore. He quickly turned back to Chloe, but the curtains closed immediately after the dimly lit orange-hued light bulb flashed on and off.
What the hell?
Oh shit!
Chloe!
They all had then heard a blood-curdling scream coming from behind the curtains, where Lionel would perform from. Reggie, out of sheer instinct, ran towards the curtains, opened them to be revealed with "One must go," written in the same blood-red liquid on the printing of the stage wall.
Holy shit!
No, 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 no!
Suddenly, there was a large spark that flashed behind the stage, causing an explosion, sending Reggie landing on his back, only then for the room to start catching ablaze. Everything inside the warehouse began to catch on fire, from the pinball machines to the animatronic shells that began to slowly melt. In short breath, Reggie begins coughing and struggles to get up. Derek lends him a hand as the place starts to slowly collapse.
Reggie!
Fuck this! I'm out!
Dude, let's split!
Terrence and Ethan had already ran out through the main hall as Joshua was following behind.
Come on! We've got to get out of here! This place is going down!
In tears, Reggie grabbed Chloe's scarf that fell out from the stage as they both ran out and escaped before the whole warehouse could collapse. His buddies were out of breath. Reggie fell to the ground in tears, breathing heavily as he slowly looked over at his sister's scarf, only making out 3 solid words that were burned onto it. One must go.